Joining me is former Resources Minister Matt Canavan, a National Senator. Matt Canavan, thanks for your time. It seems to me the world is sending the Albanese government a really loud message about the danger of going too hard on global warming, but he's just not listening.
Well, Andrew, the renewable energy investments must continue until morale improves. Obviously, we are getting smashed around the world, and Australian families are getting smashed by net zero ESG inflation, the price of food, the price of energy, and because of those two inputs, the price of everything is going up because we are denying ourselves the use of the fruits of the Industrial Revolution and trying to go for this green revolution. At that Glasgow conference that Sri Lanka hosted on nitrogen, the then president, or still the president actually, I think until tomorrow, the president of Sri Lanka said that he wanted a revolution, an agricultural revolution to get his country away from nitrogen-based fertilisers. Well, he got one. He got a revolution, just not perhaps what he was expecting. And you would think other governments would see this and be a cautionary tale, but they keep going. In fact, just keep in mind that the protests the Dutch farmers are taking up there in Europe also set against policies that are there to restrict the use of nitrogen. And here in Australia, on the eve of the election, on literally the Friday night before the election, the Labor Party announced that they would establish an environmental protection agency here in Australia, and that will be a green Trojan horse to do lots of these sort of extra red tape regulations on our nation's farms. It's something we've got to watch.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because the alarm bells are going off all over Europe. I was really struck by the deputy head of the European Commission, which has, oversees all Europe economic matters. Frans Timmermans put out a warning in The Guardian, a left-wing Guardian of all places, saying if our society descends into very, very strong conflict, as we're seeing in Holland, because there is no energy, we're certainly not going to make our climate goals, he said, and we need to make sure that people are not in the cold in the coming winter. Now, it seems to me that Albanese is willfully deaf to these matters, that he doesn't even want to hear about this.
It's time to end the climate wars, to stop the nonsense and to work to the clean energy future that will create jobs and create a better environment.
What do you make of this? What's driving him?
Look, I think it's just basic naivety or stupidity to put a worse gloss on it here. I don't think these people, and unfortunately many people in our laptop class, they don't understand how the world works. They don't understand how food is grown. They don't understand how energy is made. They don't know how a factory works. Very few of them have actually spent time on a farm or in a factory, and certainly not in a coal-fired power station. So few of them, like Anthony Albanese, but all the advisors around him as well, just have no idea about how the modern world all comes together. And that's, I think, the unique characteristic of the time we're living through, that in times past, most people would have had some kind of connection to a farm or a factory through their family or friends. They would have had some connection with the real world and how things are actually put together. Today, though, there are whole swathes of our societies, whole generations that grow up through school, through university, without having a single touch point to the real world, so to speak. They live in a world where you push a button and things just work. And so that leads you to thinking things are so easy. Why we can just replace all our coal-fired power stations with these wonderful solar panels made in Xinjiang in China, and everything will be okay. That's the reason we get these conclusions, is because people are just out of touch with the real world, and Anthony Albanese is their leader.
Well, I'd add the fact that I think it's in many ways global warming is now a religion, and it's actually sinful to question it, which is why they go, fingers in ears, la, 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 I'm not hearing you. But what of your own colleagues? Is the opposition now listening and learning, or is it still basically controlled by global warmists?
Look, unfortunately, we succumb to this siren song of net zero. I don't know if we attended Sri Lanka's net zero, nitrogen for net zero conference there last year, but we were certainly fellow travellers with them there in Glasgow, and it was a great regret of mine that I couldn't do more to successfully caution people about going down that path. Look, we haven't got back to Canberra since the election, but the policy hasn't changed at this point, Andrew. I'll just keep fighting for what I think is common sense. I think even the German Greens Party have woken up to the need for coal-fired power stations. The longer we take to ourselves wake up, the more pain that we will suffer, the more lessons in the School of Hard Knocks we'll have to go through. So I don't want the Australian people to have to go through that. That's why I'll continue to sound this warning bell as best I can and fight for common sense, fight for the real world to come back and us to put Australia first.
Well, Matt Canavan, you know I really appreciate the fight you've taken, and it comes at considerable cost to your career. So I say it again, thank you so much indeed, and thank you for your time tonight.